California Republicans have sued to block the state from redrawing its congressional map to favor Democrats. This lawsuit announced just hours after California voters overwhelmingly approved, you see the numbers there, the redrawn districts in a special election Tuesday. David Becker joins me now, CBS News election law expert. He's also the executive director of the Center for Election Innovation and Research and the co-author of a very fine book called The Big Truth. You somewhat might recall the name of the other co-author. Anyway, catch us up on what this lawsuit says in California and its legal merits or demerits.
Well, first of all, the Republicans have tried to stop this before Prop 50 went on the ballot earlier this week, and they lost every single case. They even lost a case that was filed by a Republican member of Congress from Texas seeking to stop it, somewhat ironically. This is a new lawsuit. Now that it's passed, it's ripe. And what they're alleging is that race predominated in drawing these districts. I think this isn't a frivolous case, but I think it's going to be a very tough case for the Republicans to win. It's very clear that the primary motive, if not the sole motive of this redistricting plan, was partisan advantage. And while the Supreme Court has said in the past they don't really like the idea of these extreme partisan gerrymanders, they've kind of washed their hands and said there's nothing they can do about it. I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot they could do about it if they chose to do so. But as long as they don't, I think we're going to continue to see this partisan tit for tat play out, where each party thinks the only way to stop the other party from drawing these extreme gerrymanders is to draw their own. And ultimately, that mutually assured destruction will bring both to the table and to try to stop that. I don't know if they're right or wrong, but in the meantime, the real losers are the voters who are going to find themselves in districts they're not familiar with, not knowing who the candidates are, and this might happen every 2 years.
You heard in our previous segment, Glenn Ivey, Democrat from Maryland. Maryland is now going to jump into this. The current congressional representation in Maryland, 8 Democrats, 1 Republican. So of the 9, Democrats hold 8. If they redraw the line and get rid of that Republican one, it'll be 9-0.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the place where these extreme partisan gerrymanders are most likely to occur, where one-party rule is pretty strong in some of these states. Maryland has that, others have that. But on the other hand, that often means, you know, if it's a state like Indiana, or there's only a couple of seats at the most that could be gained. But given that the margins in the House are so narrow right now, it appears the parties are going to fight tooth and nail for every single last seat. And again, at the expense of the voters, where you know, it's hard enough to manage the every decennial redistricting where you might be placed in a new district, and for the next 5 elections in Congress, you're going to have to be in that district. Now we're getting to the point where we might be seeing literally every 2 years these districts redrawn. Election officials in California right now are busy trying to, as soon as this election is certified, they're going to be doing the hard work of making sure that those new districts will be in place for an election where the primaries are going to happen early next year.
Very quickly, about 40 seconds. Everything went pretty well and smoothly on Tuesday, but yet election denialism continues to persist.
It's incredible. We're still seeing grifters, conspiracy theorists spreading rumors about the election, applying this really dime store mathematics to saying turnout went up or someone did better than the last election. That's why we hold elections, because people choose differently in different elections based on the situation in the country, and especially when they're unhappy, they can turn out in very, very high numbers. We have paper ballots. Those paper ballots are all connected to voters who have been registered using ID as they have to under federal law. We know that the elections are secure, and we know what the outcomes are.
And the civil servants and election officials, they're the constant in all this. They make it work regardless of the noise.
And they did a remarkable job this week, and we should all give them all a hand.
David Becker, as always, pleasure, sir.
Thanks, Major.